Welcome back to another episode of Sports-Fixx. I'm your host, Carson Becker, and we are back talking about another week of college football. We've had some great weeks so far. It's been some great matchups every week, it seems like. This week is no different. We have some great rivalry week games and some other great matchups, top 25 matchups here. So I'll get kind of just straight into it here. We'll start off in the SEC. Number 10 LSU going to Vanderbilt, sitting at 17th in the country. Vanderbilt has played a pretty good season so far. They had the one loss to Alabama a couple weeks ago where they looked pretty good in the first half. Then Alabama's defense kind of stepped up, kind of shut them down in the second half. So they've looked pretty good. They like to put up points. LSU's defense is gonna have to look really good to kind of stop them from getting those points if they want to win this game. Like I said, LSU, their defense has looked really well, really good this season. They've played really well. Their offense has got to get going a little more in this one if they want to win this one. I think they need to put up some points. They put up around 20 points a game, and I think they need to put up a little more unless their defense really is stopping Vanderbilt's offense, which I think they can. I think they have the tools to do that, but I think Vanderbilt still puts up some points on that defense, so they're going to need to put up some points here in this game. Vanderbilt favored by 2.5 in this one, but I think that's more of a home favorite than a win favorite. So I think LSU, their defense gets it done. They get the W, and yeah, they win in a close one. So give me LSU in this one. Should be a really good game there. Next, we'll go to Texas Tech, a Big 12 matchup. Texas Tech going on the road to play Arizona State. Arizona State sitting at 4-2, and this is a good football team. They have the opportunity to disrupt a really good Texas Tech season so far. So Texas Tech in kind of a trap game situation here. We're looking at a team that's really good, undefeated, playing a pretty good unranked Arizona State team who has beaten a couple teams so far this year. They've played really well. Texas Tech beat a good Utah team on the road earlier this year, and they'll have to beat another really good team to stay undefeated so far in the season. So Texas Tech's obviously sitting at 6-0, 7th in the country. Huge matchup, Big 12 implications here for the Big 12 championship. Texas Tech is sitting at the top of the Big 12, tied up with BYU, who has another big game this week. So should be a great game. I do think Texas Tech wins. They're favored by 7.5 in this one. I think maybe they get kind of a garbage time touchdown where they go up by either they're up 7 and go up 14, or they're up like 3 and they go up 10, something like that. So I think Texas Tech wins and kind of by more than 7.5 points if you're looking to take that cover. So next, we'll go to another big game, big matchup, the third weekend of October. It's Tennessee versus Alabama. Should be another classic matchup. It always seems to be a great game. Both teams have been playing really well recently. Tennessee, their one loss coming to Georgia in what turned out to be a great game going into overtime after the kicker missed the kick in regulation. So Alabama has been on an absolute tear in the last couple weeks, beating Georgia on the road, beating Vanderbilt at home, then going on the road again and beating Missouri, a good Missouri team, with Missouri had the ball at the end with a chance to go down and win the game, and Alabama's defense steps up. So Alabama's looked really good. Ty Simpson, one of the Heisman favorites, he's been playing really well this season, really showed up in the Georgia game. Missouri game, he played well. Vanderbilt game, he's played well. He's played really well since that first game that Alabama fans want to forget about. But Tennessee, on the other hand, Joey Aguilar, he's looked really good this season. Looked really well against Georgia. Not a lot of defense played in that game, so he had a lot of passing yards, a lot of touchdowns. There in his wide receiver, Chris Braswell, looked fantastic in that game. I think he had 3 touchdowns in that one. Alabama's defense would definitely need to slow these guys down if they want to get the win. And I think Alabama's defense does get it done. They've played really well this season. They gave up 50 rushing yards to the rushing leader in the country. I'm pretty sure he was the Missouri's running back was leading the country in rushing yards going into that game, and they shut him down, held him to 50 yards. Vanderbilt's high-powered offense, they got completely shut down in the second half, not giving up a point in that second half. So Alabama's defense has really played well. That Georgia game, they also played really well, not giving up a lot of points, and a pretty low-scoring game there. This game, it always seems to be close. Alabama, Tennessee, it's a big rivalry game. Alabama's favored by 7.5 at home. That's a pretty big line. I'm not sure how this game's going to go. I do think Alabama wins this one. I think it's very close. I don't even know if it's a 7-point game. I think at most it might be a 7-point game. So look for this one to be really close. I do think Alabama wins at home. They're very hard to beat at home. So look for Alabama to win this one at home. Next, we go to the Big Ten, where we have a 20th ranked USC versus 13th ranked Notre Dame team. And this is a huge rivalry game. The first game being played in 1926. They've played 94 times since then, making it one of the most played rivalries in college football here. So Notre Dame sitting at 2 losses. If you've watched the podcast, you know how I feel about Notre Dame. They lost at the beginning of the season to Miami, and then they lost to a Texas A&M team by a combined 4 points. And that one, Texas A&M game, was at home for Notre Dame. So, you know how I feel about Notre Dame. I still think they're ranked too high, but they have a chance to prove that they are a good team this week. If they beat a good USC team, I think USC is a lot better than people think. I know they're coming off the big win against Michigan, but I think before that they were a little underranked. I think they're a pretty good team. Lincoln Riley's got that team really cooking over there in Southern California. So USC 5-1. Their one loss coming to an Illinois team on the road where they lost on a game-winning field goal. Not a lot of defense played in that one. They're going to have to play some defense in this one. They do not want Notre Dame putting up a lot of points because once they get going, they're hard to stop. That freshman QB has played really well. You haven't heard a lot about him since that Miami game though, just because they've just been 4-2, but they've kind of been hanging in the rankings there. I like USC to keep this one close. But also, I like them to shut the door on Notre Dame's playoff chances. I think they go into South Bend and pull up the upset. Give me USC winning this one. And Notre Dame's favored by 9.5 in this one. If I was a betting man, I would be taking that plus 9.5. I would take USC to cover in this one. I don't think even if USC loses, I don't think they lose by 10 points to a Notre Dame team that has looked good, but also not looked nearly as good. So give me USC winning that one, and give me a plus 9.5 for USC and that one. Next up, we go back to the Big 12 with 23rd ranked Utah versus 15th ranked BYU in what should be a great game. This game, annual rivalry game, Holy War. This rivalry began in 1896 and has been played 86 times since then. Utah and Devin Dampier have looked great this season. A very underrated quarterback in college football, maybe one of the most underrated quarterbacks in college football. This guy can do it all. He can run, he can pass. Utah is a great team. I know that they have the one loss to, I think, Texas Tech. So this should be a great game. BYU, on the other hand, haven't heard a lot about BYU. They are ranked, but they haven't really played in too many teams this year. Their best win probably against Arizona. So not really a great team there. So this is going to be their first true test here. And Utah is favored by 3.5 in this one, and I like Utah in this one. Devin Dampier, too much to handle with his running ability. I don't think BYU can stop him. Give me Utah in this one, winning by 7 or so. It's the Holy War. It's always a close game, so give me Utah to win by about 7, covering their 3.5. Next game I'll talk about, also in the SEC, Ole Miss versus Georgia, number 5 versus number 9. Should be a great game. Both teams playing at a very high level so far this season. Game day will be in Athens for this one, so it's the game of the week, top 10 matchup. Should be a great game. Ole Miss undefeated at 6-0. Some great wins. Great win against LSU at home, and they've looked great. It's really been a question of who's going to start at quarterback. I don't think Lane Kiffin has announced his starting quarterback. Obviously, it's been the backup QB the last couple of weeks, and he's looked pretty good. Other than that kind of fumble in the Washington State game where they only end up winning by 3. Not exactly sure what happened in that one. I didn't really catch it. But looking at a good Ole Miss team, a good Georgia team. Georgia favored by 7.5 in this one. That's a pretty big line. I don't know how much Georgia is going to play. I don't know. Georgia's had a very good season. Obviously, their one loss coming to Alabama at home. And so they have beat Tennessee. They beat a good Kentucky team. They beat an Auburn team that was pretty good last week. Obviously, a lot of controversy behind that game. One loss to Alabama. I do think Georgia wins this one in a close game. Probably no more than a touchdown, honestly. That's a pretty tough line if you're a bettor, if you're looking to bet in that one. Favored by 7.5. I don't know if it goes above 7.5. That's a pretty tough line, but we will see with that one. I think Georgia wins in a pretty close one there. So give me Georgia. Obviously, there's some other games this weekend and some other games I'm kind of watching out for. Texas versus Kentucky could be an interesting game there. Uh, Texas Arch Manning kind of finally played well. He played a good game against their rival Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry, and I think he finally looked good. So this could be kind of a true test for him again. Kentucky's played a couple of teams pretty well. They played Ole Miss pretty well at Ole Miss early in the season. So Kentucky's not a team that's just going to roll over. So look for that to maybe be a good game. Texas, Kentucky. Matters how Texas offense plays in that one. Another game, Georgia Tech goes to Duke. This game could be interesting. This one's on my radar because Duke is favored by 1.5. And to me, I don't think this game's really that close. I think Georgia Tech takes them by a lot. So I'm liking that plus 1.5 right now. So if you're a betting man, maybe take that while you still can at Georgia Tech plus 1.5. I like that line there. And those are just a couple other games that I'm looking at this weekend. Should be a great weekend. Again, some great matchups. All the games I talked about should be great games for the most part. And that's all the games I'll talk about in this episode of Sports-Fixx. There are, of course, some other games this weekend, and we should have some great football. So get ready to watch some great games. Thank you for watching. I am Carson Becker, and I will see you next time.